Come see us live on tour. We'll be in Los Angeles, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. This was a video put together by Matt Orfala of all the times, or just here's just a compilation of our favorite clips of the media lying to you and saying that somehow you were a conspiracy theorist nutbag if you thought the truth. The truth meaning that the virus came from the Wuhan lab. Watch this. This is kind of amazing. This is kind of amazing. So now that the CIA admits it, let's take a look back through history. So this guy who's a liar and a criminal and an unbelievable coward and a liar, Hotez, he's going to pretend, just like, you know, when they say, hey, nobody ever said the vaccine would stop transmission or contraction. And then you show people a video of everybody saying it, from President Biden to Rachel Maddow to Fauci to Collins to this guy and everybody in between. And then they go, yeah, but new information came out. No, you said no one said it. So that means you were told no one said it by the news. You repeated that. And then when I showed you that was a lie, you didn't go, why did they lie to me and say no one said that? You just went on to the next lie. That, it was because new information came out. So we're going to show you that the exact thing that happened with the origin of the virus. Watch this.
A lab leak or a mistake, that was never discarded. Ready, Ted?
A lab leak was never discarded. Oh, really? Ready, Ted? Let's take a trip through history. Let's see how they did discard that.
Ready, Bill? Let's go back into history.
Fauci dismisses lab as source of virus. Ignore the conspiracy theories.
The conspiracy that coronavirus was man-made in a lab in Wuhan, China.
There is no reason to believe any of these conspiracy theories that it was leaked from the lab.
A theory that's almost certainly not true.
A conspiracy theory that the coronavirus originated inside a lab in China.
Like it was a conspiracy of some kind.
Lab wasn't source of virus. You can draw a line through it and say that it didn't happen. We know it didn't.
The Wuhan lab conspiracy theory.
Debunk conspiracy theory.
The fringe theory that the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, China.
Scientists debunk lab theory.
The conspiracy theory about COVID coming from a lab in Wuhan.
Oh my God, coronavirus came from Wuhan.
The conspiracy theory.
Outright ridiculous conspiracy theories.
Debunk them.
Scientists know. Experts have more than enough evidence to show. Pants on fire. Lab conspiracy theories debunked. Put it in the conspiracy theory bucket.
One of the biggest crises out there now is the false information being circulated on social media about the virus. But the virus happened when our regular coronavirus married this other virus, made children, and then the rest is history. And I can tell you for sure it was not manufactured in a lab.
Lab leak conspiracy theory.
The conspiracy theory to foment xenophobia.
Very destructive conspiracy theory. Conspiracists pushing misinformation. Conspiracy theories.
That flurry of conspiracy theories.
Prejudiced lab conspiracy theories.
These conspiracy theories damage our real world.
We don't need to invoke conspiracy theories.
The theory is bunked.
The idea that this escaped from the lab is pure baloney.
Complete baloney.
Widely debunked.
Conspiracy theories run rampant.
Conspiracy theories that it somehow escaped the lab that was in Wuhan. I think that's unlikely.
Scientists rule out the idea.
Scientists condemning conspiracy theories.
This conspiracy theory that the coronavirus originated in a lab.
Conspiracy theories on the origins of the virus in the Wuhan lab, which of course are unfounded.
The conspiracy theory that the coronavirus came from a lab.
It's another false claim.
The actual conspiracy theory was that it came from a wet market. So now all these people are not, it's not going to say when you go to Wikipedia they're conspiracy theorists, even though they are. They're not going to be discredited. They're all going to keep their jobs.
Why is that wrong, by the way? Again, I still don't understand why I'm supposed to just think the term conspiracy theory means a thing that's not true.
Right.
I know if you go to court for conspiracy to commit a crime, like RICO hinges on
conspiracies.
I don't know if people understand that.
People get
you go, Your Honor, that's a conspiracy. It's a real thing. Secondly, it didn't leak, number one. All these people saying the same goddamn thing, you know what that should tell you? They're all paid by the same few people.
That's right.
They have a unified message. And who are those same few people? Well, that's called the deep state, a thing that's not a conspiracy, but it's very real. Probably who killed Kennedy, which we're going to supposedly see in the documents.
Wuhan, China lab at the center of conspiracy theories.
The center of conspiracy theories.
The target of conspiracy theories.
The focus of conspiracies.
The lab in Wuhan, China, that's been an object of conspiracy theories.
At the center of conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy.
It's kind of overwhelming, isn't it? It keeps going.
Theories.
The Wuhan lab responding to conspiracy theories.
There's no way that it could be leaked from the lab. So you're 100% confident there was no leak, no accident.
I'm confident there's no need.
No way.
100%.
But yes, the Chinese guy.
That's good enough for me.
Scientists worldwide agree that the virus occurred naturally.
And the most likely scenario is it occurred from bats in the marketplace.
Bats were not sold at Wuhan wet markets.
I don't think it's a vast international conspiracy. I think the bats got too close in the wet market.
As soon as I heard there was a new pneumonia, I said, well, a new pneumonia, Wuhan, wet market.
It was from bat to human in a illegal wildlife market.
So they don't They don't sell bats at that wet market.
The Chinese people aren't that dirty.
That's
okay?
right.
I know they love to tell you this. Like, and by the way, that's the not racist thing
To me,
say.
right? How is it?
They eat dirty food.
Yeah.
Came from bats.
What assholes?
Most likely came from bats, yes.
And came from bats in this wildlife market.
Yes.
She is very convinced, about 90% sure.
Coronavirus most likely spread from a market in China, not from a lab in Wuhan.
The growing consensus is that this virus came from a market in Wuhan, not from the lab.
It's probably from a wet market in China, most likely in a wildlife wet market.
It was most likely a wet market in Wuhan where coronavirus originated.
The source of this virus is the Chinese wet markets. Likely, probably wet markets in the market.
The wet market.
Experts say the virus originated in this wet market.
The market, which is most likely the origin of the virus. The wet market seems like the most likely source.
Scientific consensus is that this came from a wet market.
Began in a wet market.
From a wet market.
Most scientists believe China's wet market should be the focus. Wet markets that bring in animals that are next to bats in caves in wherever, who knows.
One of the early, more plausible theories was that the wildlife wet market in Wuhan was where the virus first made its species jump from an animal to human.
But none of the animals at the market tested positive for the virus.
Several of the original cases did not have any contact with that food market. The virus went into that food market before it came out of that food market.
So now he actually tells the truth, Tom Cotton.
Oh,
and now watch what they do to his reputation. Watch this. Same thing they did to mine. Watch this.
Concerning comments from Senator Tom Cotton.
Tom Cotton was playing a dangerous game with his coronavirus speculation.
Just a few miles away from that food market is China's only biosafety level 4 super laboratory that researches human infectious diseases.
Tom Cotton was being a deadly bottle-throated slapdick nutcase, just like the Soviet propagandists who tried to convince the world that the CIA invented AIDS.
We know that they were conducting very dangerous research into coronaviruses.
Conspiracy theorist Tom Cotton flaunts conspiracy theory.
We don't know where it originated, but we do know that
But the fact that he said just like the Soviet newspaper that tried to convince the world the CIA invented AIDS, now I know for sure they did.
To get to the bottom of that. A coronavirus conspiracy theory that was already debunked.
A thoroughly debunked.
It was already debunked.
It's been bunked.
It's already been debunked. Isn't that amazing?
Pre-bunk.
Theory.
We don't know, again, where this virus originated.
He's spreading conspiracy theories.
It's so important that we at least ask the questions and get the evidence.
Tom Cotton, irrational conspiracy monger.
China continues to block our ability to ask those questions and get that evidence.
Tom Cotton, conspiracy theories.
So that's everybody's calling him that. Everybody's calling
who
him.
invented the term?
He's being dangerous. Who invented who? So conspiracy theory was a term that in the 60s, CIA decided to weaponize and make it into a negative thing because people were onto their conspiracy that the CIA was involved in killing Kennedy.
Alan Dulles personally came up with that term, and you're such a dipshit if you say it like that. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. What does a conspiracy theory mean, genius?
People are charged with conspiracies every day in every court in America. All a conspiracy theory is that you think one person and another person conspired to do something nefarious or illegal.
Collusion. It's basically
collusion. So that's why they called Trump's conspiracy with Russia a collusion, because they had already wrecked the term conspiracy.
Need to at least ask the question.
Conspiracy theories pushed by Tom Cotton.
China right now is not giving any evidence on that question.
It's very harmful to stir up suspicion. It's very dangerous.
Tom Cotton is one of the most dangerous and irresponsible people.
This will create racial discrimination, xenophobia, it will create panic.
We don't want to have a public panic.
And so that's what they would do. They would say you're dangerous and irresponsible, so I had people worked for my own show yell at me. People are dying. I shouldn't report the truth. I shouldn't. So it's crazy. Yeah. And so they get indignant that somehow you're a bad person and they can feel morally superior. So, this guy's horrible. And so that's all my old friends on Facebook think that because I was fake fact checked by PolitiFact and Facebook, and they would put, this is disinformation. And people go, Jimmy Dore's dangerous. Jimmy Dore's he's trying to make money off that. Oh my God. No, I was telling the truth.
Yeah. I got good news for you. It turns out most of the people saw through it because Kamala didn't win. And that's with them being able to rig any election they want with electronic voting anytime they want.
Tom Cotton was a fear-mongering conspiracy pusher.
We want to err on the side of caution.
Tom Cotton spreading debunked rumors.
So much is unknown.
Cotton has been criticized for giving just the whiff of credibility to a conspiracy theory.
Fringe theory.
Conspiracy theory.
Fringe theory that the coronavirus is man-made.
Brian, what's the best way to sift through all these myths out there on social media and avoid the misinformation?
Well, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg teamed up with Fauci to decide what information counts as disinformation. Facebook then censored the lab leak theory.
Both scientists and the U.S. intelligence community agree that this coronavirus was not man-made.
The virus was not man-made.
That is not a possibility. It didn't come from a lab.
This was not made by men. It was too clunky weird.
The virus was not man-made.
Is not man-made.
Again, scientists are convinced that this is not man-made.
It was not man-made.
COVID-19 was not man-made.
This virus definitely wasn't man-made.
U.S. intelligence said that COVID-19 is not man-made.
The WHO says the virus could not be man-made.
It's not man-made.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is shooting down theories that the coronavirus was man-made.
The conspiracy theory suggesting the coronavirus was man-made
is very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated.
Was not man-made or genetically modified.
Not man-made or genetically modified.
Not man-made or genetically modified.
Wide scientific consensus that the COVID-19 virus was not man-made or genetically modified.
It was not man-made or genetically modified.
The intelligence community this morning saying that they did not believe the coronavirus was man-made or genetically modified.
It is not man-made.
The intelligence, people just like at the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian and Junk, you just repeat, the intelligence community said so. Yeah, that their job is to be liars. That's and your job is in news and journalism is to debunk their lies, not to repeat them uncritically, you fucking dingbats.
Well, here's the problem. All the people you just mentioned were screened and chosen for sociopathic narcissism.
Yes.
So of course they're going to work together.
It is not believe the coronavirus was man-made or genetically modified.
It is not man-made or genetically modified.
Scientific consensus that COVID-19 virus was not man-made or genetically modified.
COVID-19 was not man-made or genetically modified.
Not man-made or genetically modified.
The virus was not man-made or genetically modified.
This is what I'm talking about all the time.
By scientific evidence that it was not deliberately mutated and deliberately changed.
But we now know from emails unredacted that Dr. Fauci was warned early on by top scientists that the virus likely came from a lab leak and looked genetically manipulated.
No way.
Yes way, Ted!
The foreign ministry in China said that those were conspiracy theories.
The WHO team ruled out a lab accident or leak as a possible driver for the pandemic.
Saying don't waste any more time and effort on that.
It's simply not true.
Extremely unlikely.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracies have no grounds.
Researchers propose further investigation into every area except the lab leak report.
The WHO team says that it will no longer pursue research into the lab leak theory. So that's over.
That's over. That's over. It's over. That's over.
Does anybody notice that consensus? I don't know why consensus is supposed to like move me in any way.
I know.
Because any idiot can tell you that consensus can be bought.
That's right.
You can buy consensus.
Consensus.
History shows it the entire time. Why are you saying consensus like I respect that on any level? I don't.
And so Fauci knew from the beginning that the virus actually came from a Wuhan lab because the emails that got revealed show that he knew that. And so there was a handful of scientists that were already over in China, and they reported back to Fauci, hey, this definitely came from this lab. And then Fauci talked to him and said, hey, here's a couple of $9 million in research funds. Maybe you want to rethink this. And then they were like, oh, you know what? It came from nature. It didn't come from a lab. You were right. We were wrong. And so Matt Orfala, the guy who just did that video, did this video this is all based on emails that got released. And he does a little cartoon acting in it. Watch this.
Dr. Fauci, could you address concerns that this virus was man-made?
There was a study.
The Proximal Origins.
Remember that? It was called the Proximal Origin study, which was never peer-reviewed. It was paid for by Fauci, who corrupted these scientists with research money, gave them $9 million to completely flip their story. And they did it because scientists are just like used car salesmen or anybody else. They'll do anything for money.
None of your institutions are trustworthy, and they've been bought out for some time.
That's right.
And so you had to find out now. Is it traumatic?
So watch
for me.
So what? So they called that the Proximal Origin study, which was never peer-reviewed. And here it goes.
A group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequences there, and
they are concerned the virus does not look natural. It is in fact.
So they actually said that we are concerned that the virus doesn't look natural. That's what they actually said before Fauci got to them and bribed them.
Highly likely this escaped from a lab. I literally can't think of it.
Highly likely. This is all from their own emails.
Yeah.
Highly likely that it came from a lab.
This escaped from a lab. I literally can't think of any possible way this could have come from nature. I just found a freaking how-to manual for building COVID-19 in a laboratory.
Yeah. Fuck, this is bad.
It's not some French theory, man. It looks exactly like a virus engineered in a lab. It is so freaking likely this came from a lab. Oh my god! This is a fucking nightmare. I'm quite convinced this was artificially created in a lab. But given the shit show we're gonna have to deal with if we say it came from a lab, let's just say it came from nature. Yeah, I mean, talking about a lab leak would be really bad for business. I mean science. Yeah, I mean, talking about a lab leak would really harm science's reputation. And science is like how we all get paid. Would you find men of science be interested in doing a study? COVID-19 originated through nature.
Totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human. So
that's what's called the scientific process.
Ha ha ha!
Yeah, it is.
And so here's Fauci, just in case you need one more piece of video to show you. Here's Fauci lying and saying that he always kept an open mind about where the virus came from. Watch this.
If it may have been a lab, may have been nature, we're supposed to look forward, then why did Dr. Fauci work so hard for just one of those theories?
What do you say to that? I'm almost have to laugh at that, Neil. I mean, that's totally bizarre. First of all, I wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other.
He wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other. He has to laugh at that. Really?
Wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other.
Flashback.
What I do feel strongly about is that this was a spillover from an animal species to a human. Strongly suggesting that, in fact, it was a natural occurrence. Very strongly. Strongly indicating that it was a natural spillover.
Strongly points to this being a natural occurrence.
Pointing much more strongly. Pretty strong. Towards a natural occurrence. Very, very strongly. Strongly favors a natural occurrence. I wasn't leaning totally strongly one way or the other. Is very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated.
You lied and lied.
There's a distinct anti-science flavor to this.
Oh, that sounds like anti-Semitism almost.
So
what an asshole. He said very, very strongly, but not totally strongly, Jimmy.
So I just want to...
You're spreading a misinformation.
I want to show you this. They made a documentary about Fauci. Now, the people who do the professional reviewing gave it an 88%. The audience, 2%.
It's an hour and 45 minutes?
Well, so the people who work for the newspapers, who get their money from Big Pharma, they loved it. Nobody else did.
Oh, wow. How patriotic of them to do their duty and say, this was great. Watching Pinocchio's fucking life story. You know he was raised by Jesuits? That's a big thing about him. Is that interesting?
Why did Disney make a fawning documentary about Fauci in the first place? Because he looks that much like Pinocchio?
Yeah, that probably it is. Yeah.
Come see us live on tour. We'll be in Los Angeles, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.